Well guys, another update. Haven't done a lot, just want to show you some things. Fuel tank is in position to be mounted. I got some rubber that I gotta put underneath everything, and then it wraps around with my straps. I'll show you the straps in a second here. This is the engine mount that I finally deciphered that I got it in the right spot. And your engine bolts, the plate on the bottom of the engine sits right on top of that. The bolts go through that, and then there's castle nuts under the bottom, or nylock nuts, whatever, that those will bolt to. I hope these nuts are not sticking up too far, I don't know. This was a round hole in this cover plate over the mount, and in the frame was a square hole. So I put the bolts, the cap screws with the square head, or square, I don't know what you call it, flange on it through the bottom up. I don't know if that should be the other way around. Obviously these are round holes, so I have to get a different kind of cap screw if that's the case. But that, anyway, got that in place. Everything's got 2 coats of paint. These are the Fender supports for the front. That goes, there's a big U-shaped piece that goes right here, and that's for your radiator to sit in. So I have not done that yet. That is hanging up over here. I did a little bit of touch-up paint on it. In the meantime, I put the battery box in. I've got both of the cab mounts here. I've got all 4 of the running board supports in, and I actually put in the back fender supports. So that's that. I'll show you what I did to the spring, and I want to show you a new purchase that I made too. Anyway, this is the spring. I took it all apart and cleaned it up. I'm out of sand right now to sandblast it, but that is what's next. And yeah, it's got pits. Oh yeah. But these are original springs. You can see some definite wear there and over here. But that's the way it's going to be. Now I sandblasted a bit of this on the top, but it'll be redone. But anyway, these are my tank straps that I basically had to fabricate. Again, purchased those a while ago off of eBay, supposedly for a 36 Chevy pickup. Well, they're not. They're probably for a 36 Chevy car. But the material was pretty good, so all I had to do was bend them to fit, and then I shortened them up, which was good. They were too long. It'd be bad if they were too short. So, but that's that. Those have got to be sandblasted and painted also. This is my new purchase. I just got this last night. It's a 207, which is the same engine in my truck. It's out of a 1935 Chevy car. And I made a little cradle for it, and I've got some casters under it to push it around if need so. One reason I bought it, I paid $85 for it, so it wasn't a lot of money. But it's all assembled. So, not that I don't think I could figure out how to put mine back together, but when it gets back into this bell housing and clutch setup, yeah, that's going to be maybe an issue for me to try to figure out. But the engine is tied up. That's the thing. So I put some marble mystery oil down the cylinders today. We'll let it sit for some while, and it's just going to basically be here as a model. You know, I can use some of these parts probably if I need to. And so it's nice. The head, I do have another head that I purchased off of eBay as a spare, because my head has got a crack in it. And it's been brazed by an engine shop, and the inside of the head was coated with a material that keeps it from rusting. So hopefully, they pressure tested it and said it was fine. It didn't leak. But if it does crack or get bad, I think this head will work, and the other head I don't know what that's off of, but it's 207 head. But got my drums done. I'll show you the inside of them. I had them turned. Let me get this one, it's easier. I've got it tied up. The shoes. And as you can see, there is a, it's hard to see possibly there. There you go. You can kind of see that little ridge groove around it. Both of them have got that, so I don't know what the deal is. It's not very deep. They turned them, and so it's flat. They took the outside ridge out, and so everything is good. And of course, I had to paint them. So I painted them all up, and they're ready to go. Because that's going to be good enough for me. As you can see how far those sit in, and actually, if I bring those up, that groove will not come into effect too much at all on that shoe. The other spring here, I left it together because once I get that one put together, I want to be able to, painted, then I want to be able to remember how to put it together with these different clamps and stuff like that. And the one I took apart, I put in new inserts. These things are pretty well worn out. That is the screw-in one, and you can see the wear on that. And the same with this is the bushing one. And yeah, it's got a lot of wear, but the bushings I found it in the other one were okay. They weren't super tight, but they will work. And so that's where we're at with those things. Now, what I want to show you is my rear end. I've got the axles out. The axles are over here. Everything looks good. I replaced, or I haven't replaced them yet, but I took the seals out, and there's the carnage of the seals. What a pistol to get those things out. I've worked on some hard things to take out, but that one kind of took the cake there. They were in there, which they were original, and one of them on the other side definitely was worn. You could see the spring in it, but yeah, it took me close to an hour to get this one out. And then once I figured out how deep it was, then I took the other one. I just hit a chisel on the side and I drove it in a few spots and able to get me a screwdriver in there and then just pop it out. But it was a pistol. But anyway, what I want to show you is my gears. There's the rear end, okay, in all its glory, covered with, I don't know what weight grease that is, but that is some thick stuff. And I'm going to try to get some more of that because I think that'll make it run nice and quiet, because we've got an issue. This rear end apparently had water in it at one time and set, and as a result the gears are pitted. And I wanted to show you these little gears here, and let's see if I can get that to, you might be able to see that there, the pitting on the face of those gears. And not every one of them, but there's some that have gotten, there's a bad one. You know, it's surface pitting. You know, there's a decent one there. But all the gears, there's some pitting on that one. I don't know. I'm not going to replace them because to do that would cost a fortune. And, you know, they're not in failure mode, but my question is that more than likely we're going to get a lot of noise, my guess. And I'll show you the big ring gear here that we've got some corrosion on that. Not every one of the gears is like that, but the A lot of them are. Now here you see, now these are nice and smooth. But apparently these set down in the water and became an issue. And all the gears have got that pitting, you know, in them. But, you know, my question, well, I don't know. It's a question because I've already made a decision what I'm going to do. I'm going to run them. I know, you know, if you were running a race car or any kind of street car today, I mean, as far as a driver, yes, you'd want to replace those because it's going to make a ton of noise, I would believe. This truck with the gear setup, this is a 411 gear setup. I don't think, well, they say the top speed's about 55 mile an hour, you know, so yeah, you're going to be just putzing along. It's going to be, you know, it's not going to be a show truck, but it's not going to be a daily driver, let's put it that way. So for the little bit that I'm going to use it, I am not going to horse around with it. It kind of irritates me. I don't know. I believe that water was in there when I bought it because the rear end was locked up. Once I brought it into my shop, it was in the winter time, and when I brought it in, I let it get warm, and then I was able to roll the back wheels. It didn't dawn on me at that point that there was water in there that had frozen, but later on I tried to move the truck, and I had stripped it down quite a bit the next winter actually, and it wouldn't move. That's when I drained or pulled this cover off and put a pan under it, and I drained a lot of water out of it. Not a lot, but I mean enough that if any of the gears down here would have been, you know, they would have been sitting in water, and that's more than likely where these gears were at. You know, they were probably sitting down in that water and corroding. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at. I'm going to put new seals, obviously, on each end. Everything else looks good. The bearing surfaces look good on the axles. I'll clean that up a little bit. There's some discoloring right there. I don't know, I haven't really looked at them that close yet. Those will be cleaned up and put in, but the bearings themselves, from what I've read, they really don't need much attention, you know, unless you run it out of grease or something. But yeah, this grease I got in this stuff is like sludge, and it really coats everything, and so it's kind of a good thing because, you know, it protects everything, you know. And when I spun the axles before I pulled them, it's like there's no play in them, there's no grinding noise, and even doing this, it's like I don't feel anything. It's gritty to speak of, you know. So, but I've got to find some grease. I'm going to get some, you know, the standard oil that is your gear oil that's used is like 80-90 weight. I'm going to look for some 140 or bigger. I'm hoping, because I don't know what this weight was, but I'm guessing it's at least a minimum of 140. And I'm going to look for something that's even maybe thicker than that. This truck will not be driven in the winter, so I'm not too concerned about, you know, the thick oil causing an issue with the cold weather. But I did not replace there's a bushing up here in the drive shaft. You got to take and drill this pin out, and you got to drive that bushing out. But they said if there's 0.10 of a play in there, you should replace it. I pull this up and down, and you know, there's just a tad. You really can't even hardly feel it. And so there's no way that's 0.10. And so I'm leaving that alone. I'm not too involved with this to just tear everything apart and replace everything. I don't have the equipment, the skills, and the money. takes money, and then being able to find parts for this thing would be a trick. So that's where we're at, friends. Sorry I rambled on a little bit here, but just wanted to show you some things that I've come across and get your opinion. Again, I have not got my shims in yet, but my plan is we're going to put some brass shims in here on this side and this side, leave this channel open, and we'll probably run a line of braze across each edge of those shims and then grind it down, and we'll make that fit the top of that axle housing. So that's the plan. And of course the bottoms, I'm going to have to clean some of this gunky paint out of there. But anyway, we'll get that cleaned all up and I'll show you that before I install them. But we're coming along. It's just takes time. So thanks for watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do so. It helps me out on my channel. And anyway, that's all I've got. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.